The five of you approach the door. I mean, the deja vu here's got to be crazy, right? Since you started having the dream earlier, outside the tower, you guys have made this walk every day, for the last month, basically. You approach the tower. You approach that, thick wooden door, iron band across the top, iron band across the bottom. Know it like the back of your hand, better, probably. And Civ, you've lockpicked it 1,000 times. What do you want to do?
I'll test the handle.
You test the handle, and exactly as it is in your dream,
Your dad is calling you.
Nihar's dad calls.
Okay. I'll text him.
It's like, what is this music, Lachlan?
Exactly as it is in your dream, the handle starts to go, but really quickly finds the lock. It's locked.
I'll lockpick it.
You do. I'm still gonna have you roll a dexterity check,
Can I give
but
her...
with advantage. And yes, you can totally give her guidance.
Sleight of hand?
I think it's actually just dexterity. I checked today. It's not sleight of hand to lockpick. To pickpocket, sure.
It's not?
No, it's pretty specific because thieves' tools you're either proficient in or not, so you get your proficiency bonus from the thieves' tools, not from sleight of hand.
So
it's a straight dexterity check, and if you're proficient in thieves' tools, then you will add your proficiency bonus.
which is our proficiency bonus is what?
It should be on your sheet. It says 3,
Where? Oh, I see.
where it says proficiency
So
bonus
okay,
top
I
left.
see. So it's equal to my sleight of hand. I roll with advantage. That's gonna be a straight 17.
A straight 17 will succeed. Yeah, first try. You put it in, you adjust the pick, and it locks as it has first time every single night for you so far.
When is the pee break that you have planned?
Soon.
Okay.
Very soon, don't worry. And at this point, you know exactly what you can expect to find behind the door in the staircase. Again, it is all playing out, looking exactly like it has in your head. You open the door. It's dark inside. Occasional torches adorn the walls. And quickly, as you kind of step in, the sound of rain begins to sort of get muffled and fade behind you. And it's dark. You guys want to just go up the staircase?
The rain is different, right?
The rain... it's raining in your dream, too.
Oh, okay.
Did we notice any evidence of, footprints or any other evidence of, a lot of workers traveling through this place?
Wet footprints on the inside.
Can I have you guys roll an investigation check? Yeah, kind of retroactively here, but that's a good question.
19, wait. Or is it plus? Oh,
shit.
3.
Nihar.
Yes, look.
The corners?
Yeah.
Ooh, oh, okay. Is it plus anything?
It'll be your perception or investigation.
Oh, it's perception or investigation?
Yep.
10.
Dirty
Oh.
20.
Dirty 20, nice.
9.
9. Rom.
22.
Oh.
You roll on Jax's behalf whenever you have a split turn.
And we start seeing monsters.
No, that's
Perception saving throw, bitches! And you can't believe you didn't notice it before.
jump off the building.
Bruh.
Yeah, there are... I wouldn't say, So, what you don't see are, evidence of lots of wagons or, any kind of major, assembling of things, any kind of major infrastructural stuff going on here. But you do see some footsteps that lead to this door, yes.
They look like
Proceed.
footsteps.
That's not a thing you know how to tell.
Do the footsteps look pale?
Does the darkness feel like it's reaching out at us?
Yeah, I think it's got to be a little trippy. You can't tell if it's just your, imagination, your eyes playing tricks on you, but it does seem extra dark in here.
I grab a torch.
Exactly as you do in your dream. You grab a torch off the wall. It's always just Flair who does this.
And I'm pretty sure I'm the first one that walks up to the stairs.
And so, exactly as you do in your dream, you begin heading up the stairs. The darkness kind of, vignetting around you here. And you guys, make it up one floor. Maybe two. And then... Not a good roll. Since you guys are so on edge for it, yes, who do we think is in the back? Traditionally, it's Rom, and I guess now Jax here. Is that about the order you would have gone in?
Probably.
Rom, you notice as the darkness lunges out at you. Basically expecting it, right? And one of the shadows here is going to make an attack on you. Could I have all of you roll for initiative as we begin to head up this hallway?
We are starting it off.
Yeah, there are shadows here in with you. Give me those initiative rolls as you have them.
22.
Wow. Okay. You said 16?
13.
Awesome.
7.
Nice. Let me roll for Jax here. He needs a separate d20. Not bad, my friend.
This would suck.
Yeah, and Rum. That was... Immediately, this first attack is going to... What is your AC again?
I haven't written down how much strength he actually takes from...
No, your armor class.
Oh, sorry, AC. 11.
11? Okay, that will for sure hit. Yeah, you guys are on your way up the stairs. Exactly as you are in your dream. Ron, you're going to take 7 necrotic damage and lose 2 strength.
That is the exact amount that I lost the first time.
That's crazy, actually. That's just the die telling a good story. But Civ, you're the next one to go. What is your play here?
I don't know. I don't have anything that does fire damage, so my thought is to just keep going.
Get to the top of the
Get to the
stairs.
top,
because
yeah.
you remember that in your dream, once you're able to leave the hallway, they stop.
Yeah, my thought is just keep going. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Civ, you're going to sprint, and this is all going to kind of happen concurrently, but Civ, you're going to take your movement to keep sprinting, and honestly, only Rom and Jax are the ones who can easily strike the shadows. Flair, what would you like to do? All of you just try to keep running.
I would like to take out some of the oil that I have and set it on fire on the stairs.
Sure, behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flair, you toss down this oil. How do you set it on fire? Do you have like flint and steel or something, I guess? You're just going to use...
Yeah, I do have a flint and steel.
Perfect.
She has a torch.
Also, you're holding a torch.
That
What am I talking about
planning.
here?
That was what I was planning to set on
Oil
fire
down,
with.
flames behind you. Rom and Jax are gonna have to jump over these flames as they run up the
No,
stairs.
I was
Gonna
wanting
wait?
them to pass me before I did it.
Got it, so you'll actually be in the rear of the group here.
So
Yeah.
you're holding your...
Yeah, absolutely. And as you do this,
I hold my action, I guess, and to do it.
everyone will pass you. Let's just play this kind of concurrently because you are on the stairs. I don't mean to slow it down too much. You guys are all rushing up the stairs. Again, what a weird feeling this must be to be living your dream. Flair, you let your friends pass. Oil on the ground, light it up. And for a moment here, this holds back the shadows. You guys have a second to sprint up the stairs as fast as possible. You gain quite a bit of distance. You go 3 floors, 4, 5 floors. And you've only got maybe a couple more to your memory when, again, I'm going to have some of these shadows come at Rom. Or actually, no, Flair, you're in the rear. and I think Jax is probably just right in front of you. Not good rolls. They're both gonna miss. Do you guys want to keep sprinting, you think, the rest of the way to the top?
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Tog, you were the first person to have this dream. You had it one night before anybody else did. And you know, when you had this dream, it started out with running the staircase flat against this door. And every night you've had the dream since, you've been with your compatriots. But I think as you reach this door here, and you reach this sturdy wooden door, iron band across the top, across the bottom, I think it comes back to you kind of the fear you felt when you were entirely alone. The first time you did this, it was just you. And now it's not a dream. It's real life. And you have more people with you, Jax even. But it's still gotta be kind of, you know, throwing you off balance. What do the four of you do here now?
I step aside for Rom.
I think we all do.
Yeah.
A well-oiled machine, this group. Rob, take it away.
Yep. I cast shit. Gotta remember what the exact spell is. I'm gonna
Definitely
cast
heat metal. Definitely
Yeah,
heat metal.
Yeah, I'm gonna cast heat metal on that block that I've done several
Hinges.
times.
Hinges. Yeah.
Hinges.
Bit weird to cast on the lock.
No, you do
The-
it to the hinges.
On the hinges, you blow the door out of its...
Yeah. The hint.
Yeah, please. Does heat metal have any kind of roll?
You'd be so mad when nothing's in the room.
Heat metal does not. I'm pretty sure it does not.
So, Rom, describe what this looks like. Describe what your casting spell looks like and how it impacts the world.
Heat metal is not a destruction spell, apparently. Where is heat metal? Hold on, I gotta find. Sorry.
Just use Control F.
Control F. Did not work.
Shit.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Very soon.
So yeah, the object, right? In this case, the hinges. As I've done several times in this dream, it feels like the most familiar thing in the most recent memory. I cast it on the hinges, and it glows very, very warm, very hot.
Yeah, the
it
hinges.
almost lights up the entire area around me.
You can hear the shadows coming, like, up the hall. You can hear, like, the whispers as they come closer.
And then, like, looking at the light, I think I'm, like, invigorated by it. It drops to the floor after a while, like, almost melts off entirely, and then the door kind of just falls down.
I think that'd take a second. Traditionally in your dream, and I think it's way cooler is why I'm bringing it up. The four of you just group strength check the door and blow it off its hinges.
That is true. It does
Let's
take a while.
go. Let's go.
Alright. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's so funny to me that as we entered Flare, you just grabbed the torch the exact same. Like, I just watched back the clips of our playthroughs on the prequel. We enter, and Flare's like, I grab a torch. It was like deja vu moment for real for me here. Yeah, you play out the stream almost identically. Can I have, why not, strength checks from all of you, including Jax?
That Flare, I think the first time also tries picking the lock first before.
He does.
Yeah, Civ tries to pick, yeah, Flare tries to help.
We both tried to pick.
But you
I
guys,
think you set the door on fire.
things are going better this time.
Yeah, we like all. I tried to pick the lock. Flare tries to pick the lock. Tog tries to break the door down.
Yes, each one of you tries something alone, and then the heat metal and the group strength check is what eventually does it. Only working together can you get it. Hey, it's a group check for a reason.
I rolled a natural
You
one.
said strength, right?
Yes, strength. Tog, I hope you rolled well, my friend.
18.
That's the Tog I know.
15.
15, Rom.
18 also.
Wow.
Let's go!
Hell yeah, and with
Let's
Jax's
go.
respectable 14, yes. In the dark space of this hallway, shadows rounding the corner behind you. In the weirdest fugue state you've ever been in your life, Rom heats the hinges, and then the four of you smash into the door and blow it off its hinges. And on the other side, it's all wrong.
No.
So, you know, in your dreams, you blow the door off the hinges, and then The pale elf, in shock, whips around, summoning circle halfway complete, animates the two statues on either side of the door, and then goes back to drawing a circle. Door flies into the room, skids across the floor. And the only thing that is true to your dreams are the statues on either side of you. The pale elf is standing in the center of the room, but he is surrounded by 30 or 40 guards, soldiers. They're not city guards. They're not some of Garst's crew, Tog. These are clearly private security. And as the door skids across the floor and sparks fly and it comes to a stop, it slides towards the pale elf and he puts out his foot and stops it, looking straight at you with his arms crossed. I should also mention there's no summoning circle drawn on the floor at all. The pale elf says, "At long last. Welcome. It is an honor to finally meet you. The deadly Savanya Redding, the brilliant Ram Dagvasti, the fearless Flare Fiesta, the steadfast Togmau Hollow, and of course, Jax the Courageous. It's all a bit different than in the dreams, isn't it?" And we're going to cut to black like you would in a commercial, and it's a perfect time for a bathroom break, because there's not going to be another one.
No! What?
Okay, so it's all a bit different than in the dreams, isn't it? The pale elf looks at you all, and he's like, "You put on quite a show last night. Really had me worried for a second there. Savanya with that nasty little knife you picked up in Aeven. Tog, that unusual mimic you seem somehow to have bent to your will." Anathema like growls. "You continue to impress me, even now. I never did get the chance to introduce myself, though. My name is Visigoth, and I do not want to destroy the world." Yes, I know. We have so much catching up to do. If you would allow me to tell you a story, although first I should assure you that there are even more guards outside than in, and they will have apprehended your friends shortly. We have
What?
time
What
now
friend?
to talk. Seeing you guys all just kind of here, listening attentively. You're kind of partway in the room.
Daggers.
Holding both daggers, yeah. You're all keeping your weapons at the ready. Although, the guards have kind of like moved, so you're all but encircled at this point. You are so heavily outnumbered. It's crazy. But you are all here, kind of all backed together. Visigoth steps forward. "I am an arcanist. A great one, if I do say so myself. I've always had a knack for illusion magic in particular, and I've spent my life trying to unravel the secrets of the arcane. But where other men sought power or prowess or mastery, I sought understanding. I sought to push the bounds of knowledge itself, to understand with total clarity the fundamental truths that govern creation, that we might have a say in that governance. Most pressingly, I sought to understand why magic abandons us, why, in intervals as regular as the cycles of the moons, magic flees the mortal realm. Most importantly, I wanted to know if anything could be done about it. Magic does so much good for the world. Think about the progress that could be made if each and every generation had access to the same abundance of magic as the Valdorans of the Third Age. Think of how much better off everyone would be. Of course, I know that my interest in the Veil hardly makes me unique. I stand only at the front of a long line of brilliant arcanists, and I have benefited greatly from being able to study their work. I spent years at Luminara, and later Isidora studying the likes of Xerxes and Alder, Ipsordia, Kados, anyone who advanced our understanding of the arcane and of the veil. I sought to understand all aspects of magic too, not just the orthodox ones. And so when my interest in the blood arts got me kicked out of Isidora's, I made my way to Seer. And a few years ago, I finally had a breakthrough. I had just cast an incredibly powerful spell, an incredibly ether-intensive spell, and moments later, cast Mending, something so mundane, and I had the passing thought that it felt easier than it should have. It was probably just my imagination, of course, but it got me thinking, do the threads of the veil ever change shape to accommodate the magic we channel? We usually imagine channeling more and more ether as simply creating a faster and faster moving stream rather than, a wider and wider one, and that's almost certainly true, but could a stream moving fast enough actually begin to force apart threads of the veil anyway? After all, the same cheesecloth that lets water trickle through when held under a faucet will tear when held under a waterfall. Visigoth at this point kind of begins pacing back and forth in front of you guys. He's totally in it now, and so I began experimenting. As far as I can tell, when the veil is stretched, and I do think it is stretched, it is never stretched beyond the point of its own elasticity. It is always able to return to its original shape. Nothing self-regulates like nature, after all. What if we could force more ether through the veil than nature would normally allow? He looks at you, Rom, almost like he expects you to see where he's going. It took a small fortune's worth of dragon glass, but it worked. I forced so much ether back through the veil. The threads were bent out of shape for nearly 24 hours. During that time, magic was easier. So much easier. It is impossible to understand until you've experienced it, but we're handicapped. Rom, he looks around at the rest of you, all of us. For anyone lucky enough to be born when magic is at its most abundant, everything is so much easier. Of course, I was only able to loosen the threads for 24 hours, and I quickly realized I could spend a decade smuggling dragon glass into the city and still be unable to do much more. So I started getting desperate, looking again into the research done by those other brilliant arcanists in that long, long line, and one story in particular stood out to me. I think you know it. It was said that before he disappeared, the High Arcanist Alder stole some unimaginably large quantity of ether from the Valdoran Empire and bound it to his staff. And of course he lived during the time of dragons. He had so much more magic than we do today. And it was also said the staff had never been found. That it might still be out there. Of course, any useful records or artifacts from the time, anything that could point me in the direction of the staff would be closely guarded, kept somewhere in the bowels of the great library at Isidora's. And since I was expelled over a decade ago, I could hardly just walk in and ask to see them. So perhaps I could have someone else go for me. I said earlier that I've always been particularly adept with illusion magic, but I suppose I should elaborate. For as long as I can remember, I've been exceptionally good at influencing people, the way they think, the way they feel, the way they think they feel. And when I was 14, I discovered I could even influence their dreams. And so I asked some of the spies in my network if they knew of any adventurers that seemed capable of taking on this quest to find and deliver Alder's staff. One of my contacts in Mirasol got back to me just a few weeks later. He'd just seen a group of adventurers step in and defend the town from boars. They seemed like perfect candidates. Civ, Rom, Flare, Tog, Jax, you have done well. You have found an artifact of myth and legend, something that treasure hunters and scholars and kings alike have been trying to find for centuries. You've carried it safely across the continent, facing no shortage of impossible challenges along the way. You will no doubt go down in the annals of history as heroes. Heroes who helped usher in an age of abundance. You need only give me the staff. Again, I'm not going to destroy the world. What an absurd goal that would be, destroying the world. I am not some cartoon villain.
Why'd you portray yourself as one?
It's, all part of the simple ruse to bring you to this moment. I could have tried to take the staff from you, but I prefer to have as much control over the situation as I can. It would have been messy to attack you at Evros's, to send thugs for you in the streets of Iafax. Here, now. This is a moment I can't control. You'll have to forgive the whole Sazagothic bit, the stint. It was all an act, part of the ruse to get you here. You're admirable people. The thing that would be most motivating to you in the world would be saving it. But we can do better than that. We can change the world forever. Give everyone magic. I mean, Rom, with each day that passes, can't you feel it growing weaker? Can't you feel it slipping away? In another age, we would be two of the most powerful arcanists of all time, but instead, you and I are going to lose magic altogether. Help me change that. We could rival Alder himself.
I thought you said you weren't after power.
I suppose I would be lying to myself if I said that my own fear of losing the thing that has allowed me to do so much for so many didn't play a part in this. In 40 years, there will be no magic left in the world, and it pains me greatly. But that loss affects everyone, not just me. Perhaps my motivations aren't entirely altruistic, but it is the net good.
What about the Unmakers?
What about them?
You've been working with them.
I
They
am
don't seem
one of the
very
Unmakers.
altruistic.
I
Well,
understand that among people like Evros, perhaps people like JB or Isenfeld have a bad reputation. But Isenfeld employs hundreds of people across the city. He drives commerce to Iafax. He's part of the reason this city is as wealthy as it is. I imagine it must be strange. I know last night you saw us as some cult in red robes and, in Evangeline's basement converted to look as demonic as possible. We are not some cult that worships some long forgotten god. We're people who want to change the world. I assure you, they do not worship me. We have plenty of our differences. Wrong. I know that you understand what I'm talking about.
Of course I understand. But I can't help you.
You know, I could just take it from you. I'm giving you the opportunity to be part of one of the most important moments in all of history. And as you guys are standing here, Rom, you notice Jack's like gasp. Visigoth continues though. I am going to tear a hole in the veil, a lasting one this time. I am going to elevate mankind's mastery over the arcane realm forever, and I'm giving you the chance to be a part of that. We'll be able to access ether in unimaginable quantities, have access to magic in an abundance that no one, dead or alive, has ever experienced. Imagine what you could do.
Surely you understand why we may not trust you.
Yes, I know. Hard to trust me when you've been seeing me as the ender of the world for months.
And what
You
of
say you want. Sorry.
Ilvisar?
Yes, that was part of the ruse I sent. You called him Nilvasar after you to try and make you feel like somebody didn't want you to have the staff, didn't want you to bring in to Iafax. There was something working against you.
You're the one who's been giving us the visions.
Oh yes.
What about that guy with the eyes?
The eyes. Sorry, which guy?
Elise.
I'm not familiar with Annalisa.
You say you want to give everyone magic? Have everyone be able to access it at the same capacity?
Yes.
Now you realize, of course, say I do give you the staff, say that we do become powerful, say that we have unlimited access to the veil, the magic that's within the veil, all of the abundance that lies within it, and we usher in a new age where everyone is able to have access to magic. So, and you say you don't want power. So, what's the difference
Oh no,
between...
I apologize if I like I said, I don't mean to paint myself as too much of an altruist. Losing the power that I have terrifies me, and that is absolutely part of my motivation, but that's because power is what allows you to do anything in the world. Good, bad, it doesn't matter. You can't make change without power.
Well, then it seems like I'm in a far better position than you are. You have something to lose. Whether or not we lose magic or not, the world is going to lose magic if nothing happens right now. That is how the fate has decided it. That's how history has decided it, and that's how things would be. And in 40 years, that's what could happen, and I could prepare for it, and things could go on, humanity could go on, life could go on.
Just because it is the way things have been, because it's the natural order or whatever, does not mean that's the way things have to be. Are you willing to... You're not even interested by the prospect of being able to keep your magic. The thing that has set you apart from everyone else for as long as you've been alive.
Of course I'm interested. It's the thing that I've studied my entire life, the thing that makes me special right now. But you see, I don't think it makes a difference no matter what path we choose now. I think if I go with you, we, usher in a new age of magic. Everyone has the same thing, and I become just one of the faces in the crowd. Well, I don't know, you could toss me to the side.
You would prevent offering abundance to everyone else because it would make you less special.
I would prevent offering abundance to everyone else because I don't believe that it is the path that history has provided. I don't think we are meant to change the fate of the world. I think we are meant to follow it.
You think too small, Rom. And Rom, I think that perhaps at this moment, you notice Jack's trying to get your attention. He looks pointedly at the staff and then nods towards his hands. He wants you to pass him the staff. And in this moment too, I think you probably, seeing Jax ask for it, recall the words your friends relayed to you from Madame Celeste. I want you to remind your friend when the time comes to remember that he is not the hero. He'll have to give something up, I think. And probably too what Flair said to Jax last night. Neither you nor the staff are in our dreams. Maybe you should hold the staff. Visigoth, too, looks at you expectantly, like, you think too small. We could change the world. You can make change, Rom. I know you haven't had the opportunity yet growing up in Erengar, 1,000 miles from here. But in this city, with the right connections, this is where history is being made.
Hey, the rest of us are here too, mister.
I
You're
look
right.
around at the party that we formed throughout the course of the entire campaign, and before handing the staff to Jax, I say, you fail to realize the changes that I've already made.
Cold lion.
Jax immediately walks up to Visigoth with the staff.
Yeah,
This is
to Scissorgoth.
Visigoth.
Scissorgoth. And Rom, you hand Jax the staff, and you watch Jax, this little Gripply who, when you met him, had only his courage, take possession of the single most powerful magical artifact in the entire world. His expression is determined, and he locks eyes with Visigoth. And then he walks over and hands him the staff.
I
Motherfucker.
fucking knew it. I'm so mad.
Visigoth takes the staff, and he says, "Thank you, Kamau."
What the fuck?
And he turns towards you, like the ghost of a smile playing at his lips, really for the first time since you've seen him. And he says, "I see you're confused. If it's any consolation, the real Jax never would have done this to you." Yes, Emily.
I have shot Jax.
Could you have shot Jax? I think this happens. Wait, sorry, cutting out for a second.
I'm stunned, for one.
Yeah, hold on, I still can't hear you, Emily. I think because Nihar is cutting out for me. I think their whole house just lost connection.
Can you hear them?
No,
Wait, he's
Hello?
back. You're back. Okay.
No.
I don't know how to do that on this computer.
Okay.
Nihar, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
Wait, I have
Emily is going to take a second, I think.
What? I'm
Can you hear us, Emily?
Good already. I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
Not hearing you. Can I shoot him while he's walking up? I already. The guy holding my bow.
Yeah, I think that's actually fine, but mostly because Jax is a changeling, and so the arrow thuds into his chest, doing nothing.
Fucking.
So, you release an arrow.
So mad right now.
Hold on, give me a second here.
Okay.
Visigoth turns towards you and says, "I see you're confused. If it's any consolation, the real Jax never would have done this to you." And I think it's you, Tog, who finally pieces it all together. The scene changes. You're sitting around the small, overcrowded table in Madame Celeste's. The muffled sounds of the city outside drone on in the background, but everything inside is quiet. Still, as if the air itself is holding its breath. A single card is sitting face up on the ornate purple tablecloth. Madame Celeste lays down a second. She flips it. "The two-headed serpent," she says. She looks at you carefully with those cat-like eyes, her expression totally unreadable. "My dear, you have been betrayed. I don't know by who or how, but someone has already betrayed you. Already betrayed you." The scene changes again. Now you find yourself in the back of Nob's tavern, alone with a stranger. Tog, you're sitting on a large oak barrel in the storage room. The tavern keep's wife has just attended to your injuries after your fight with the boars in Mirasol all those many months ago. And you've been talking to the little Gripply who fought by your side. "I'm actually traveling to Aevin, the jewel of Rymeria," you say. "What brings you to Mirasol?" "I'm a student at Isidorus," Jax responds. Your conversation continues, but it strikes you as odd that a student from the most single, renowned institute for arcane studies in all of Rymeria never cast a spell during battle. The scene changes again. The four of you are sitting around a table at the first draft, left alone with Oni, Jax's brother. Remember? He's laughing. Yeah, he's one of the most awkward people I've ever known, but he's so talented, brilliant mind, gifted healer, and cares so deeply about others that it honestly sometimes drives me a little crazy. Gifted healer? Gifted healer, he said. The words echo around your mind as the scene changes again. Jax pulls back, sword held low, angled towards the ground. You've been on the road for nearly a week, traveling from Mirasol to Aevin. It's still early in the morning. The sun is just beginning to rise over the rolling hills of the Kessin Plains, and mist swirls gently around this awkward, lanky Gripply who stands before you. He wipes the sweat from his forehead. He's all out of breath. So you were in the Syrian military, right? I know they're heavily involved overseas. Have you ever been to Ogia? You hesitate, Tog. Yeah, I've spent some time in Ogia. Jax nods and lunges again, but he's over swinging. You easily dodge his attack. He steps back. What's it like? Have you ever seen anything really crazy? You hesitate again. No, I didn't see much of anything, actually. The scene changes again. You really didn't see anything, Jax says in a low voice. The five of you are huddled together in the unfamiliar darkness of the Mokot Grand Library, discussing Ogia. Jax continues. What kind of creatures did you come across, or even, I don't know, hear rumors about? You start to respond, but in your memory, this scene changes one more time as the final piece of the puzzle falls into place. The answer was given to you just moments before. Guys, listen to this, Rom says. The five of you draw close as he picks a passage from Wonder, Terror, and Wilderness, a retrospective after 100 years in Ogia. He reads, and there are accounts of strange alien creatures, capable of killing someone and mimicking their appearance down to the very last hair on their head, although this mimicry does not appear to give them access to someone's memories, and like most other semi-sapient creatures, they are unable to use magic. Unable to use magic. Suddenly, it all makes sense. You remember your desperate fight with Ilversar's doppelganger. When you fought alongside the real Ilversar against the Girilo, he had cast spell after spell, healing Galamir, warding allies, but the doppelganger had never used magic, not even once. In fact, even once he held Alder's staff, he hadn't cast a single spell. He vaguely threatened you, sure, but he'd been bluffing because changelings can't use magic. And you remember, too, the strange vision of Jax's grave on the side of the road. When you dug it up, it was empty, there was no body. Because of that, you'd assumed the whole ordeal was an omen of things yet to come. But the thing is, bodies decay. Worms and maggots can make quick work of the body's soft tissue. In the right conditions, the whole thing can be over in just a few weeks, and you get the horrible feeling now that Jax's grave hadn't actually been empty. There just hadn't been any bones. We return to the present. Visigoth stands before you. It's a shame, really. You never met the real Jax. Carmel. He gestures to the Gripply you thought you knew. Killed him while he was on his way to Aevin, just days before meeting you, actually. I said before that it was one of my contacts in Mirasol who recommended recruiting you because you'd saved the town from boars. I neglected to mention which contact exactly. Visigoth looks at Kamel. I'd sent Kamel to hunt down Alder's staff, and he was looking for bodies, people that might be able to help him solve problems, kill monsters, clear dungeons, that sort of thing, and there you were. Actually, at first it was just going to be you, Tog, remember? You had the dream a day before anyone else because Jax saw you at the bar a day before anyone else. He thought you looked formidable. Then he saw the rest of you step in to defend the town from danger and decided 4 bodies are better than 1. Anyway, better odds. Kamel is the reason the 4 of you are here today. And you guys think back to those early days, to those late nights spent upstairs in Hilda's living room, talking over the sounds of the bar below. You remember the countless hours you spent discussing your dreams, trying to understand what was being asked of you? You were so confused. You spent so much of this campaign confused. But whenever you were stuck, really stuck, Jax was there. To guide you, to keep you focused, to point you towards Alder's staff, the artifact you just hand-delivered to Visigoth. Other memories come back to you too. Flair, you remember that when Oni, Jax's brother, had shown up at the first draft, Jax had just kind of frozen. Oni had stepped in and introduced himself, actually. You'd assumed at the time that maybe Jax had been so surprised by his brother's appearance that he hadn't known what to say, but you realize now that he probably hadn't recognized Oni at all. And Civ, you remember a moment that has stuck out to you as strange, even at the time. In Alder's dungeon, right after Rom had walked through Farah's mirror with the staff, Jax, who is normally an incredibly trusting person, seemed worried that Rom might have run away with the staff, intending to steal it. It was weird that he'd been more worried about the staff than whether or not Rom was okay, except you realize now it wasn't weird. At all. And Rom, you remember the first time you met Elysin. The first time that stranger with prismatic eyes had spoken to you. There had been tons strange about that encounter, sure, but one thing in particular stands out to you now. Elysin had kept asking whether or not you trusted everyone in your party. He'd been weirdly insistent upon that question. He'd asked Tog the same thing, do you trust your friends?
So mad right now.
He'd known. Visigoth is watching you carefully. It's time, he says. He continues speaking, but you can't hear him. All you can hear is the sound of your own blood roaring in your ears. You feel numb. As Visigoth casts silence, you feel nothing. As thick black chains reach from the shadows, binding your arms and legs, you feel nothing. As Visigoth raises Alder's staff high above his head and begins chanting something you can't hear, you feel nothing, and then a tremble begins somewhere deep in the earth. Everything looks like it's vibrating slightly. The shaking starts to worsen. Then you realize it's not just shaking, you're starting to see double. At first, everything just looks blurry. But as Visigoth continues chanting, staff over his head, the images start to pull farther and farther apart. One Visigoth becomes 2. Your vision, or maybe the world, is stretching, tearing, your head hurts like hell, and flames are starting to appear too, igniting in the corners of the room. The soldiers start to shuffle kind of nervously, you know? And suddenly, a pulse is sent out from Visigoth, visibly distorting the air as it travels. The walls tremble, a couple of loose bricks fall from the ceiling, dust cascades down into the room like a waterfall, and the flames climb higher, and then, somewhere in those flames, you swear you see Elysin. He's behind Visigoth, behind the panicking soldiers. You have to squint to be sure, but it's him. Something about the passive, almost cold way he looks at you is deeply unsettling, like he sees you. Like he's weighing your soul against your sins. After a moment, though, he smiles softly. It never quite reaches his eyes. He winks, and then disappears. Kaboom! Another pulse, and the top of the tower is blown apart. Soldiers go flying off the edge. Huge chunks of stone plummet down towards the surrounding neighborhoods. It's followed by a terrible, tearing sound. The silence is worn off. Impossible to describe because you're hearing the fabric of reality rip apart. Before you can get your bearings, though, boom! A third pulse throws the 4 of you off the tower too. Rom casts Featherfall. Time slows to a crawl, and you fall backwards in slow motion. Stone and fire raining down around you. And you watch a horrible dark gash appear in the sky. A wound in the side of the world, of reality itself. Visigoth has torn the veil. The earth shakes, the wind roars in your ears, and people scream in the city below you. This is all happening because of you. Your choices, your mistakes. Dogtooth and Mirasil, Nilvasar and Aven, Lord Clintock and Dirneve, you've killed people in the name of saving the world, and now you're the ones who put it in danger. Whatever happens here in IFX, whatever Visigoth does next, it is all because of you. The fate of the city, and indeed, perhaps the world, is up to you. I don't know what happens next. I don't know how this story ends, but I do know that before it's over, it is you who must atone for the sin of Visigoth. That concludes tonight's session. That concludes Act 4. Only one act remains, and I cannot wait to see what happens next. And scene.
I've been saying that for like months. I'm so mad right now.
Oh my god.
What the fuck, man?